you got to pick a name. We're not going to call it Baby Girl Green, right?
Right. You have to overcome that and tell your brain, it's what we do now.
The more knowledge you have, the more you're free to rely on your instincts.
The baby is here. I didn't even tell you I was pregnant the whole time. Oh, that's beautiful.
Right?
For those who didn't just know, it's okay. Hi, y'all. Welcome to Hustle Humbly. It's Alyssa and Katie, and we are two top producing realtors in the Baton Rouge market.
We work for two different companies where we should be competitors, but we have chosen community over competition.
The goal of our podcast is to encourage you to find your own way in business.
So stop comparing yourself and start embracing your strengths. Hi, Alyssa.
Hey, Katie.
It's episode 158.
YouTube will see that for the first time in 158 episodes.
Is it the first time?
I am sitting on the other side of the table.
We have switched sides.
We have switched sides, and I finally get my good side.
Look, honestly, it's my good side as well. And I'm like, why am I fighting this? It's because I always...
Wait, that's your good side?
Yes. I wasn't trying to hog my good side. We were both showing our bad side.
We were both showing... I just thought... I had no idea.
So I'm like, you know what? Today, we're going to switch it up.
Okay. I feel like a dream.
I'm so happy. You're going to really give us the best information today.
But first.
But wait, hold on. I didn't tell them what this is.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You were just so excited about the switch.
Yeah.
This is listening to your inner voice.
I like it.
I feel like this is another with Delilah. Listening to your inner voice with Katie and Alyssa.
You would have the perfect Delilah voice.
Welcome. Welcome to the Hustle Humbly podcast.
What do you really want out of life?
Listen to your inner voice. But first, do
the flip report.
Tell us what's happening in the flip land.
Oh, the AC is done.
Hold on. I want to cut in first.
Okay.
It occurred to me last week when we were doing this that if we have a brand new listener, they might be like, what in the world is happening here?
Oh, what is the flip report?
What even are we doing? Why are we talking about an AC? I feel like I'm jumping in the middle of something.
Yes. So last year I bought a home that I was going to flip.
Right.
And to keep the listeners up to date with everything and to follow along with the progress and to just be on the journey with me, we dedicated the first few minutes of each episode to the flip report,
which is lovely, and I so enjoy it, as do the listeners.
Yes.
And if you're new here, that's what's going on.
That's what's going on. So I sold that one, and I bought one street over, and we're doing it again.
Who would have ever thought?
Not me.
Okay, so now tell me what's happening.
Okay, the AC is done.
Great.
All the duct work is in, and I have to say, it looks beautiful.
Oh,
I never thought duct work
really
would look so lovely.
You're like, look how clean and shiny.
It's so clean and shiny. And it was they were also able, this house had the round rusty vents, like the old school circle vents. So now we have square vents, which doesn't really make sense that we have switched to square vents because the ductwork hole is still round.
Right.
And we put this
It is
rectangle,
counterintuitive.
Yes, we put this rectangle cover. But at some point, someone decided
I'm thinking
that
it
air
must
vents
have,
should be rectangle.
I guess. It must have something to do with directionals.
Yes.
Like being able to change the directions.
Because with the circle vent, air just comes out
all the way.
But it seems evenly dispersed.
Well, maybe you don't want it. Look, they have science behind all of
know.
it. I can't get involved.
But seeing them put a square vent on a round hole just felt wrong.
You're like, I don't get it.
I don't get it, but it looks better because that's what the status quo is. So it looks better to me. The ceilings, everything is sheetrocked.
Okay.
So that is good. Now, the AC, so one of the bedrooms, I don't think I talked about this, but
I don't think so.
One of the bedrooms had the AC in it.
Oh, yes, you did. You did.
Okay.
And so you changed the closet door to where it opens to the hall.
It's all done and it looks wonderful.
Great.
It looks wonderful.
Great.
And so that I think I had mentioned that added about $1,500.
Correct.
So that is where Did I already tell y'all all of this, that the AC was done?
That maybe. It feels like it. What's next?
Do you want me to tell you the next one?
Just give me the next one just in case. So we've already heard
I do have a little unexpected cost surprise.
Great. Tell us that.
So and what's weird is my sister has a house. Her house is the exact same floor plan as this house, built at the same time. It's kind of in the same area.
Okay.
The same house.
Okay.
Exactly. Her house has the same situation. There is no drain for the washing machine.
What?
So the person that lived here before, they just had like a hose hooked up to the washing machine
that ran
to the backyard, and all of the soapy water just
poured
went
out
to the
into
back
the
of
yard?
the property. And so my sister has a pipe but it's exposed. It goes around the exterior of her house, around the carport, and connects all the way to her kitchen drain. And you can see it, and it's fine, but it's not
attractive.
The way, it's supposed to be tied in to the drain.
So you fixed it?
I'm going to have to fix it. And my contractor was like, I mean, I can bust up all the concrete.
Oh,
and I'm like, we're not busting up concrete again.
We don't bust up
No,
concrete.
last time was an accident, and we're not doing it again this time.
We're not even going to do it on purpose.
No. So I said, there has to be a better way. And he said he could do like my sister's and run it along
the house.
And then just put like a border over it. Like you would never really notice. Like we will notice because we know it's there. But anybody
is that
else,
what you're going to do?
It's the most cost effective. And he hasn't given me I said, I need to know numbers before you do anything, because I think this is like a big deal. Also, I told him, and I should have told him sooner because he finished sheetrocking the laundry room.
Oh dear.
So when I bought the house, they had a brand new stackable washer dryer that they were putting in the kitchen.
Okay.
Well, I was like, no, we have this huge, massive laundry room because I converted the storage room to laundry.
Right.
Why would you have a stackable if you had a huge laundry room?
No need.
I'm talking 10 by 5 feet.
That's pretty big.
It's a big laundry room. So I asked him if we could, Whitney is going to sell the stackable.
Okay.
And we are going to get him to move the washer dryer hookups to the far side. So you have this big laundry room and no need for a stackable.
Mm-hmm.
He was not pleased, but he was fine. He was like,
yes,
wait, I'm fine. I do that. It's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
So I'm waiting on numbers on running a drain line for the washing machine to actually properly drain.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
That feels like he can handle that without you getting a plumber.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He said it's not that it's difficult. It's just
unsightly.
And it's a lot of, we have to go out the laundry room and around the whole house all the way to the kitchen to tie it in.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Jeez. But who built these? They didn't have laundry inside?
They didn't. When these houses were built, the laundry rooms weren't inside. Oh they may not have even had them.
Right.
Like you had to go to the laundromat.
You probably washed it like in a tub and hung it on a line.
So there was a laundry line in the backyard.
Well, that answers that question.
So you wash them in the sink and then you dry them.
They didn't even know that was going to be an option.
Yeah, they're like,
future.
A washer and dryer. That would be a
deep
dream.
In the future.
How crazy is
You're like,
that?
why would I put a drain in here? I have nothing to drain.
Nothing to
drain. It doesn't even exist.
Yeah.
I feel like next time I'm going to tell you all when the first washing machine was sold.
Oh, man.
Okay. That's it?
That's it.
The flip report. Okay. Do you want to tell us why we're talking about listening to our inner voice as a start?
Yeah, we get a lot of emails and messages of people asking us what they should do with their life.
They want our advice. I guess we seem like we're eager to give it.
And we are, but we don't know you and your specific situation.
Right.
And what's best for you? What's best for your family? What would make you happy? What are your goals? What do you actually need? And it's a lot of pressure. We have had people message us that they have quit their job
right.
to get into real estate or made major life-changing decisions because of this podcast. They've
all messaged because they were happy.
Yes, all happy messages.
I'm glad we've never received an unhappy message.
Yeah, I got into real estate because of you.
You said.
That's the worst mistake of my life.
So,
yeah.
But they ask all kinds of questions.
They do. And it's hard to respond. And we want to respond because we care about you guys.
For sure.
But at the same time, we don't really have the authority to tell you what to do with your life.
No. Or all the pertinent information.
Correct.
But I think it brought up a very interesting topic, which is how do you make decisions?
How do you figure it out?
When you're feeling confused or look, life is nothing but a series of decisions. And I don't remember, but I think you make 20,000 decisions in a day.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes the big ones we just don't have the energy for because we've been making the little ones all day long, every day. Especially if you have a family and kids and all of this stuff. So I started researching a little bit on how do you listen to your inner voice?
And just an example, we have had questions about, should I get into real estate? Should I get out of real estate?
Should I join a team?
Should I join a team? Should I start a team?
Should I switch brokers?
Should I start a brokerage?
Right.
Can I do this as a single mom?
Right.
I don't know. I don't know you or what your work ethic is or how much help you have.
Yeah.
So these are big questions that, it's hard when you're going through a big life choice and you have this fork in the road of what direction
you're looking for a sign.
You're looking for a sign.
Even you buying the flip house, looking for a sign.
And then along came Celia.
Someone give me a sign.
Yes.
Right. So this always makes me think about, my friend Gary Vee, who likes to say about decisions. He's like, if you're choosing between two things or however many things, you just choose. Whatever your choice is fine because you'll literally never know the result of the other choice.
Okay. In my book club,
yes,
we read this book.
Oh, God.
Called The Midnight Library.
Oh, I think you told me a little bit about this.
It was very thought-provoking.
Okay.
It made for a really good discussion, and I still think about this book.
Okay, what happens in the...
In the book, this girl doesn't really love her life and she dies or thinks she kind of goes to purgatory limbo. Okay. But she finds herself in this library and each book, there's millions of books.
Okay.
Is her life if she would have made the slightest different choice.
Yes.
Okay. So for example, if we had never had lunch, me and you, after that closing that we had.
That's true.
If we would have just done the closing and moved on with our lives and didn't become friends after, we would have never had the podcast.
Correct.
So something as small as getting lunch with someone can turn your life in a totally different direction. Or walking instead of taking the bus.
Right.
So every book was her life as a different choice. And so she went through several of the books to figure out what was the right way. And they all had
the same ending?
All different endings, but all good lives.
Oh, she was like, it was all good.
Not all good, but every life had good and bad.
Right. So all of them do.
All of them do. So there is no perfect answer to the perfect life.
No.
But we put I put a lot of pressure on myself.
To make the right decision?
To make decisions. I have decision fatigue. Sure. And I almost felt like when I was researching this episode, I needed it.
You're like, this is going to be helpful for me.
Yeah,
Podcast therapy.
Is. Podcast therapy
Bring
today.
it on. Well, as Gary would say, the end of his story would be, you don't know the difference of what would happen if you chose one or the other. You pick one. He's like, okay, for instance, maybe I'm deciding if I want to buy a company or not because he's on a different level, right?
Yeah, sure.
So he's like, I decided not to buy the company, which meant that maybe I lost $100 million later on when the company gets resold. But had I bought the company, I would have been required to go to this board meeting that would have put me on a plane, that put me on the street next to this bus that ran me over. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you never know. Right.
No clue. Sure, maybe some of the outcomes of the other life would have been positive, but maybe ultimately it would have been bad. Like you can't know. You cannot know. So I think it's kind of comforting in that whatever your choice is, it's the right one because it's the one you made.
Right.
It's the one you made.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was funny when I started to research because I, went to my Google machine and I'm like, listening to your inner voice. And then I realized, think about all the ways that they describe this. Like a hunch, your gut, instinct, intuition, your inner voice. Like there's a lot of different.
A sign.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways that people refer to this like kind of sixth sense, if you will.
Yeah.
Right? So I thought that was really interesting. And I did get us the definition of intuition.
Okay.
Because I feel like that's what inner voice means to me.
Yeah. Like what do you really know deep down inside of you? What are you saying?
Well, great. Intuition, the definition is the ability to know something without having proof.
Oh, like I just know this is what I need to be doing.
I just like it's a feeling, right? Like I just know this is the thing I should be doing. I know it's pretty interesting.
Which is, I feel now more than ever, it is so hard to hear your inner voice because we are living probably in the noisiest society
is so
ever.
Noisy.
This is probably the noisiest the world has ever been between social media. Everyone's giving their own opinions.
Very busy,
it's
like
so
super
busy.
overscheduled, overcomplicated. Just we make everything a little bit more
That's
complex.
why I overthink.
Yeah.
I have trouble forming my own opinion of what is even the right thing because just when I come to a conclusion, I overthink it or I run it by a friend or I ask advice and then it's not the answer I want or it is. And it's like, so complicated.
This is why people don't tell people their baby names.
Right.
Because you're like, this is like the hardest choice you'll make.
I don't want your opinion. Yeah.
Because then you're going to make me like overthink it. You got to pick a name. We're not going to call it Baby Girl Green, right?
Right.
We've got to call it something. So you just have to choose. And then if you start asking for other people's opinions or telling them what your choice is, everyone wants to tell you.
Yeah.
Oh, well, if you call the baby this, people are going to make fun of it and call it this.
Right.
Or people are going to spell it wrong. You need to spell it. No. Sometimes you just have to keep your decisions to yourself.
I really wanted one of my kids to have a double name.
What is it? Oh, like Mary Kate?
Yeah, like William Tate. Okay, I wanted to call him William Tate. And
nobody would get on board?
Nobody. Nobody had anything nice to say about a double name.
Really?
Yeah, I kind of wanted Haven to be Carrie John. Nope. Nobody liked it. Carrie and John are both of our dad's names.
I love that.
Always loved it. And nobody else was on board. It was like everyone just put down a double name. And my kids have one name.
There's so many double named people in the world.
I know.
At my daughter's school, I cannot even count the number of double names that run around there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, well, this is a good
but I think,
case study.
I think, too, something to be mindful of is that not only are we trying to figure out our way and what we want to name our kids and what we want to do with our life, but so is everybody else.
Right.
So if somebody comes to you and says, I think I want to name my kid Carrie John. What do you think? You say,
that's so pretty.
That sounds wonderful.
Great. Do you love it?
Yeah.
Maybe that would be the only.
Right.
You love it?
All that matters.
Great. As long as you love it.
And I need to watch this too because I, I'm a fixer. I always want to
let me help you.
Yeah, let me help you. And sometimes it's needed. But if it's something silly, like not a big deal.
Yeah.
You just say, if that's what you want to do.
Do it.
Do it.
Do it. That sounds great. There's so many little sayings that go with that, like trust your gut, go with your hunch, trust your instinct. Think about how many ways people say for you to just trust yourself, and yet you still seek outside opinion because you're nervous. So I also got some helpful information on how to tell the difference between fear and intuition.
Okay.
Okay, because they're basically telling you intuition or listening to your gut is actually a physical response. Like we're physically going to listen to our body. How does that thing, how does it feel in your body?
Yeah.
Okay, well, fear makes you feel tense, panicky, and desperate. It has a pushing energy, like you're trying to force something.
Wow.
Okay, so fear is like a pushing energy. It's going to urge you to hide, conform, or compromise. So fear may keep you from following your intuition because you want to conform, or like someone said something, you're like, okay, I've got to force this decision. Intuition makes you feel excited, anticipation, ease, and contentment. It has a pulling energy. So physically, these feelings make your body relax. So when you start to think about the thing that you're making your decision on, if you're feeling fear, it's kind of that tense, panicky, pushing energy. And if you're feeling like you're following your intuition, it's more of an excited, ease, pulling.
And the thought of following your intuition could give you fear.
Well, it could
make you feel scared.
Yes. And look, there's lots of personality types that are more risk averse or more like.
So I wrote down, if you are in a season of trying to figure things out, our Enneagram episode is episode 13.
Mm-hmm.
And I still check myself because I know I'm a 3.
Right.
And I know what comes with being a 3. And I know the things that I have to watch out for because of my personality, and they're true. Yeah. I mean, it's very true of myself.
Yeah.
I also like that you brought up the psychological side of all of this.
Yes.
Because I was listening to this podcast about the brain, and they were saying that people take fear or like that pushing back or sometimes as I shouldn't or I can't. Like I can't do it. But the brain is wired to keep us at status quo.
Right.
So if this is how you've always done it, even if it's not the right way, if you're trying to make a big change in your life, the brain is actually programmed to give you pushback.
To resist.
Yeah. Even if it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Even if you're like, I've never worked out in my life and I'm going to work out every Monday. Every Monday I'm going to work out. The brain is actually wired to go, whoa.
That's not what we do.
This is not what we do. It's very different. And it does take, that's where all the studies of, it takes 90 days to form a habit or, whatever the numbers days, are. Yeah. That is where these studies come from, because even if it's a positive change, you're going to have pushback because it's different. And the brain is actually like, hold on, this isn't what we do.
Oh.
You have to tell you have to overcome that and tell your brain it's what we do now.
Right, we're doing
now.
This.
I work out every Monday.
We are doing this.
Yeah.
When I was reading about it, it was saying intuition is like a muscle. Like you can strengthen it. So you can get better at listening to your own intuition. It's not like, some people say I'm very intuitive. Well, anyone can be better at listening to their intuition.
You know what's so funny?
What?
I feel like I'm very intuitive of others.
You're like
better than myself.
Oh, interesting.
Like if someone comes, like I feel like I have a way of seeing people's bird's eye view for them.
Oh, yeah.
Like I can see it. But I have trouble seeing it for myself. I don't know why that is.
Probably the noise.
Yeah, I guess
it's hard to get through all of that.
I did write down some things that help with canceling out the noise.
Please,
did you have some?
No, tell
me.
Good.
Okay.
Hey, Alyssa.
Hey, Katie.
What do we mention almost every episode?
Email templates.
You're right. We sure do. And after every time we mention an email template, do you know what we get?
Emails asking if they can have copies of the email template.
Can you send me a copy of that template? I have never had one like that. That sounds great. And you know what the good news is?
What?
You can get all of our email templates from our course, Email Templates 101. Tell the people about it.
Our course has all of the email templates you would need to send to your buyers and your sellers and your clients that are buying and selling at the same time.
Exactly.
To get through every step of the transaction and giving them information that they need for where they are in the transaction.
It's great because you never forget to tell them something.
Yes, and we've already done all the work for you.
Yeah.
We wrote them and you can personalize them.
Yes.
And just feel organized knowing that you have all the information where it needs to be.
And if you purchase Email Templates 101, you do get lifetime access. So occasionally we like to go in and make updates based on the market, or if we find a new best practice, and we put that right into the template and you get that updated straight away.
It just goes straight to your course.
Yep. Right. It's just there. It's already in there.
It's just
already
there.
in there. You don't even have to worry about it. We'll
That's
send
wonderful.
you an email and we'll say updated.
That's great. Where can they find these email templates?
You can find the email templates at emailtemplates101.com.
Emailtemplates101.com.
Yes, head over for reviews and all of the specifics.
Wonderful.
Okay, enjoy.
The first thing was a tech purge.
Oh, yeah.
So that is taking a break from watching the news, taking a break from all social media.
Right.
But you know what I thought was interesting? It's not just from seeing others. It's also from taking a break from what you portray yourself as on social media. And I know, so what if you had a really great day with your kids, but you didn't post anything about it?
It was still a great day.
It was still a really great day with your kids. And I know sometimes I enjoy Instagram. I think it's fun. I love sharing my kids' stuff and the things that we're doing with my friends and my family. Like, I enjoy it. But I do think it's hard. It is a highlight reel. It is what it is.
For sure.
Okay. So moments before this photo was taken, it was very likely that there was a meltdown.
Could have been.
Yes. Okay.
Could have been.
But social media not only makes you look at what others are doing and compare it to yourself, but it also makes you portray yourself. Like, sometimes you believe your highlight reels, and it could hide the fact that maybe you are struggling in a certain area.
Right. Now, I have my own personal opinions on this. I totally agree with that. Yes, we are going to maybe post the good photo and there were 5 bad photos, or everyone was, or maybe you had to bribe these kids to get the good fine. But I do think there's something to be said for you choosing these positive experiences to put out into the world.
Yeah.
So here is a great photo of my family having fun at the beach. Was every single second of the time you were at the beach fun? Maybe not. But if I go back and look at that highlight reel,
you remember the positives.
Yes.
I agree. I think there's a book I read that I was trying to remember. I think it's called like 1,000 Gifts, but it was before Instagram was a thing. And this woman was struggling in her life. She was a mother, and she just felt like she was struggling to find her purpose. And someone gave her a camera, a real camera, and said, I want you to take 1,000 pictures of things that you're happy with, and I want you to develop them. And she was like taking pictures of her food.
Sure. 1,000's a lot of pictures.
All the things that we do take pictures of now. And so to me, it is an exercise of gratitude
100%
by having a highlight reel.
Yes.
So the big thing too, when you are posting though, is just making sure that not only are you looking at what do others think of me, but what do I think of me?
Right. And the framing of all of this was in order to listen to yourself, maybe you turn it off for a minute.
You turn off wondering what others think of you and what do I need to portray myself as. Just turn it all off.
Turn it off. Okay. Quiet it down.
Second thing is journal.
Okay. I like it.
So I had recently on Amazon just bought me and Haven a gratitude journal to do at nighttime. Well, I got her the kid one and I got me the grown-up one.
Okay.
Well, mine is like 3 things, you write it down, the end. Hers you have to draw your favorite part of the day.
Okay.
And then you write like, what's one person that brought you joy today?
Okay.
And then and then you color which face you're feeling right now.
Okay.
Like happy, medium. Sure. I thought I want hers.
Well, just do that.
So I threw mine away and I got one like her. So now I'm coloring.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, but I've really enjoyed it.
I love it. Okay.
So journaling also, not just a gratitude journal, but when I look back on journals from years ago, because I feel like, you always journal when you're going through something the most. Like that's when you really want to.
Yeah, journal is like a fancy pro-con list, right?
Yeah.
Like when people are making a decision, the kind of logical left brain people, like, well, let's make a pros and cons list, which you can totally do. And then, this brings me to one of the favorite quotes I found from Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, good.
The more knowledge you have, the more you're free to rely on your instincts. So that could be as simple,
I like that.
As simple as making decisions in your real estate business. Like when clients ask you for advice or your opinion or like what they should do. Well, the more knowledge you have about the market, the more you can rely on that instinct. Like when you get an offer now, don't you have instincts about this is a good offer, a bad offer, what the red flags are? Like all of that comes from your knowledge and your experience over time, right? So it's very interesting that, yes, you may have intuition and it may lead you in a certain way, but you can still learn about a topic, or like if you're researching whatever, maybe you're trying to decide where to send your kids to school or where to eat dinner that night. If you can research and get some knowledge about those options, right? Well, this restaurant serves this and the atmosphere is like this. This restaurant serves this and the atmosphere is like this. And then we can take that knowledge and then follow, well, what do I feel like? Like what is my instinct telling me based on the knowledge I now have?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
How many times do people ask, what do you want to eat? Well, I feel like, don't you pick food based on how you're like?
Yeah.
What is your intuition telling you? Like,
and there are times like when I have read back old journals, I didn't even realize that's how I felt until you put it on paper.
Yeah.
Like you don't always know
that's
where it's going to take you.
It journaling prompts are so helpful. Oh, you know what? I brought my book with me. YouTube can take a look at it. So I'm reading this, I don't read a lot.
Right.
But I'm reading this Jenna Kutcher book because I love her, and it's called How Are You Really? And I don't know, about 50-ish pages in, 60 pages in. This is not a business book.
No.
It is a life book. But it is kind of telling you how to check in with yourself, how are you really? Like ask, and in the book it has journal prompts. Every once in a while. So I think a journal prompt is nice because sometimes you can't just look at a blank page and be like,
yeah,
well,
But yeah.
Well, I don't know. I'm already stuck as it is to try and make this decision. I don't want to just look at a blank page and then write something. You need a prompt.
Sure.
So I'm sure you can Google.
Oh, there's so many out
journal
there.
prompts for decision making.
Yeah.
Voila. Voila. They'll be there.
One of the advice, so we had purge from social media or tech and TV news, all of it, video games, all the purge of technology, journaling, not seeking too many opinions. So I do think we have friends and certain people. Okay.
When do they tell you like you should have this like this kind of core group of people that maybe it's a variety though?
Also, just as an example, when we were looking at starting the podcast, I told and talked to no one about it.
Right.
Because I didn't have anyone in my life at that time that knew podcast world.
Right.
Or
had
the experience I needed to give me the appropriate advice.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big thing too is the person I'm asking.
Who are you consulting?
Have they been through this? Are they where you want to be with it? So you and me were really the only two that had this idea and this vision for what it was.
Yeah.
And all of my friends and family found out about it the day it aired. After we had episodes in the queue ready to go for a few weeks.
The baby is here.
The baby is here. I didn't even tell you. I was pregnant the whole time. And there was some fear there, but I knew for me to not get distracted or feel anxious or like I'm not going to be successful at it, I just needed to talk to you and be with you about it.
But that was good because it wasn't you doing it alone.
Yes.
I think that is also, I can't not tell you the number of people who I've talked to are like, I think I'm going to start a podcast, but they're solo. And it takes a bit of time. Like, there's a lot of overthinking it because when you're making a singular decision,
it's very hard.
If it was just me and I was like, I'm going to make a podcast, and then I would have totally overthought that.
Mm-hmm.
But because we were like sort of committed to each other, then like, well, I don't want to let that person down, and they seem into it. So now we got to do this.
Right.
But I think that's a good point. Sometimes when you're making the decision alone, you need to maybe have a person or two that is excited about what you want to do, whether or not they're doing it with you.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it's going to make you feel positive feelings.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so hard.
Or, you mentioned school. Haven starts kindergarten in August.
Yeah.
And the torment I went through to figure out what school we were going to go through. And I have made the decision, and I'm still not sure. But I made the decision, and I'm committed, and everything's fine. But the problem is I got a lot of opinions.
So much feedback.
From all different parents of all different schools, and there's a lot of good schools out there.
Sure.
And every parent believes that their school is the best, and I appreciated the also honest feedback about the ones that had troubles,
Yeah.
So it
helps
added
me
to a lot of anxiety about this decision.
But you can just change.
Yeah, you can
that's the whole thing.
That always helps.
There are almost no decisions that are irreversible, right? Except maybe a tattoo, but even then you could get it removed.
I had one removed. Fun fact.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I guess the point is, like, there's so few decisions that are just so finite. Like, in that, maybe you make the wrong decision, but you can't be afraid to make any decision because you don't want to make the wrong decision. You can just change it later.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 85% of people who got their real estate license didn't make it to year 4.
Right.
At some point, they had to say, I made the wrong decision.
Sure.
I'm going to try something else.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. The last tip was so you have good friends for good reason to seek wisdom from people that are appropriate depending on your situation, but not asking everybody.
Right.
Everybody, everything. Now,
don't do it.
I am also a big advocate of, if you have a specific thing that you cannot get over or wrap your brain around or figure out, and you're having trouble interpreting your thoughts, and the noise is loud, and even your closest confidants are having trouble advising you, go for a neutral third-party therapy session, like a real...
That's a great idea.
They don't know you at all.
No.
You could go once. You could go forever, once a month for maintenance. You could go for a specific issue and go for 5 weeks until you have some clarity.
Yeah.
But I like it because this person doesn't know you at all. They know nothing about you, and you're going in with a blank slate and just the facts. And they're not even telling you what to do or what the answer is.
Right.
But they're allowing you a space to talk without any shooting on you.
They don't have any bias.
No.
None. Okay. That's the end of your
list.
That's my list. So I had one that I found that was how to kind of grow your intuition, how to work it out, how to like work that muscle, right? Number 1 was start small and let your intuition pick something like your outfit. Or your dinner, or like something that's not earth-shattering, and like just be like, how do I feel? Go with it. Okay. This one was really good. Test drive your choices. It said take a 3-day period. So you have 2 choices. Let's just say it's get my real estate license, don't get my real estate license. Okay. Take a 3-day period where you live your life as if you got your real estate license.
Okay.
What does that life look like? What do you do? Like, go through the 3 days pretending that you chose that path. Okay. And then you kind of like see, how do you feel? Right. Then you do 3 days of the other way.
And I like it too, because this could just be a mental exercise. Like
It
you
is.
could say, you know what? I'm going to go into my corporate job today.
Yeah.
Knowing that I have already committed to taking my real estate exam.
Right.
How do I feel all day?
How do I feel today?
Yeah.
What is it?
And then, after 3 days of that, I'm going to go into work today as if I have let go of the idea of real estate.
This.
I'm not doing it. I'm just going to sit tight and do what I need to do at this corporate job.
I'm sure your brain will be thrilled because it's in its comfort zone.
Right, right.
So be careful.
But it could also be disappointed.
You might be like, oh, I really wanted to do that. The next way to try this is, I love this. You watch Friends too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Remember, okay, this one is flip a coin. So pick the two things, flip a coin, and then see, how do you feel? If you flip the coin and you get the answer that is get your license and you're like, yes.
Yeah,
or you flip the coin
answer.
And you get the answer that's not, don't get your license. You're like, oh, remember the episode when Phoebe's trying to help them make decisions? Joey's trying to pick the north route or the south route to go drive to Vegas, right? And she lists all these random things like coffee or tea, blah, 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 like really fast, rapid fire, like he has to answer. And then she says at the end, north route or south route? And he says north route. She's like, there you go.
Like, the end.
You have your answer. Just because there was no time to think.
Right.
Just
you can't overthink
quickly
it. Just
answer.
go with what you want.
But you have to basically check in with yourself. After she does it to Rachel too. Remember with the pregnancy test?
Oh, yeah.
And she like has the results.
And she tells her.
She says, you're not pregnant. And she's
so
like
sad.
upset. And she's like, no, you're
Good
pregnant.
news, yeah.
and she's like, now you really know how you feel. And she's like, that's a dangerous game. But it works, right? Now you know how you really feel.
Right.
Oh my God.
And that also lets you know that that's just fear.
Right.
You know, the reason that you were not going with it is because you were scared. And once it was taken away from you, you were actually disappointed.
Right. Like, do you feel joy?
Yes.
Or do you feel in relief? Or do you feel worry and dread? Like, which way are you feeling? Also, I'm having a real struggle because in my How Are You Really book, Jenna basically talks about saying this to yourself. How does this feel? Not how does this make me feel? Like, remove the word make. So how does this feel is different than how does this make me feel, because it removes the blame and leaves you more with curiosity.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense. Not how does this make me feel? It's sort of like you're blaming that decision for making you feel a certain way.
Yeah.
But how does this feel? Like, just how does this feel?
Mm-hmm.
Look, this color in the room, how does this feel?
Right.
Not how does this make me feel? It sort of like changes the vibe of the, like, I thought that was really interesting.
Just changing that one little
take
word.
out make. Like, how does this make me feel? We're not placing blame on anything. We're just saying, how does this feel?
Right. You're in charge of your feelings, not the wall color.
I'm looking at new cars. How does this feel?
Yeah.
How does this make me feel? It's a thing. It can't really make you feel.
Yeah, that does have kind of a negative
Isn't that interesting?
connotation to it.
Uh-huh.
Interesting.
Very interesting. Yeah, I thought that was very helpful.
Now, we're talking a lot about feelings.
Yes. What else?
I'm also a very practical person.
Let's hear it. Great.
Can I afford to do this?
Right.
Do I have a plan in place to make this dream be a success? Do I have savings? Do I have help with the children? Do I have...
Right. Am I taking into account the practical pieces of this choice?
Yes. It's very easy to look at the fun, dreamy side of things. But, you know, there's also real things that go into it. When you have a
plan, you also don't have as much fear, right?
Right.
Well, I have a plan. This is what the plan is. I know what to do with the plan, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not worried quite so much. I think that is fair. That you can, but see, you can pair all these things together. You don't have to just blindly listen to your intuition or blindly listen to your fear or only look at the pro-con list and only, you know, do like, well, do I have a plan? Well, I mean, sometimes you just got to take a leap.
Yeah.
But having a plan would help.
Sure.
Or a parachute.
Set you up for success.
Right. Always good.
Uh-huh.
I wrote down an anonymous quote. It said, intuition is the compass of the soul.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Right? Like, oh, it just sort of points you in the direction. But Kevin O'Leary, do you know Mr. Wonderful?
Yeah, from Shark Tank.
He said, I listen to my gut. It's not an emotion. It's an index of risk.
Oh, I like that. That's true.
Yes.
That is true.
It's just like an index of risk. Like, what does my gut say? And he's coming at that with a certain level of knowledge, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my knowledge gives me gut feelings.
Yeah.
I thought that was really good. I'm like, it is an index of risk.
I like that.
Very good. I mean, there is no shortage of frou-frou quotes about intuition, but I love that stuff.
Like, I know it's because they're all light bulb moments. Like, yes.
Oh, right.
Yes, that makes sense.
Okay. I also wrote down, are you ignoring your gut or inner voice because the answer will be hard or require work? Like, do you know that this is maybe the right thing to do for you, but you're like, oh, I just don't want to do the work associated with, I mean, starting a real estate career is really hard.
Right. Going through the courses and
like, I feel like my intuition says I'll be happy on the other side of year 3, but I don't know that I really want to trudge through years 1 to 3. I don't.
That's when I always think the time will pass anyway.
Right.
So when you're 5 years down the road, you could be done.
Right.
Or you could still in the back of your mind be like,
I wish
is
I had
this
done
what
it.
I should have been doing?
This is the tree. You always hear that tree proverb. When's the best time to plant a tree?
Yeah.
5 years ago.
No, 100 years ago.
Any amount of time ago. What's the second best time to plant a tree?
Today.
I
love that.
Today. Yeah. I mean, like, sure, you could already be. That's the same thing as when we talked about comparing your beginning to someone else's middle or someone's end.
I have a client that I've sold 6 or 7 houses to. She was always a really big baker. So the kitchen was very important to her.
She personally has lived in 6 or 7 houses?
Her husband moved a lot for work. And they would leave and come back and leave. And they always thought and then I helped her buy a home for her kids. And
Got it. Okay.
So
I'm like,
lots of trends. But yeah, she has moved a lot.
The kitchen was always important.
Very important for this kitchen. And so I go to see her for like the 5th house. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you look incredible. Are you still baking? Because you look like you don't eat sweets. Like, what's going on? You look so good. She said, no, I still bake. I still do everything. But last year on February 3rd, I just woke up and decided I got to start walking.
Oh.
So she said, I just went for a walk on February 3rd. Okay. I said, why February 3rd? She said, I have no idea.
But she remembers it.
I just woke up and said, I have been thinking that I have needed to do this for so long. She said, I don't do anything strenuous. I just walk. I went and walked a mile. And then the next day I walked 2 miles. And she said, now I walk about 4 miles a day. Every day I walk. And that's all I do. And I haven't changed anything else. But I kind of am like on this streak now.
Right. She's like, I don't want to stop.
Right. And this was in like November.
Wow.
So she had been
walking.
Yeah. And it wasn't that she was like, I'm going to wait till Monday.
Right.
Or I'm going to wait until the kids are in school.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to wait until she just was
February
like,
3rd.
I'm going to write today's date down.
I'm going to walk.
And I'm just going to do this.
She also didn't try to train for a marathon.
No.
She's like, I'm just going to walk.
She's like, I'm still going to eat my cookies and bake my muffins. And I love all my cakes. I'm still going to do all those things. I'm just going to walk. And I will tell you, she looked incredible. Not just physically, but like the energy in her face and her eyes.
I love
she
that.
just looked so joyful and at peace.
Right.
And to this day, she still walks.
I bet those walks were a great time to make decisions.
Yeah. You really clear your head.
You really clear your head.
Mm-hmm.
She was glowing.
But I always think about her because I like big symbolism, or like I'm going to wait until Monday.
Right.
Or once this happens, it's going to be new me.
You are not alone.
I know.
That is a very common thing. We're going to wait for the perfect conditions to do this thing.
Yeah.
Or the perfect time to do this thing. Like, that's the same as we're waiting to decide the perfect time to have a kid.
Yeah.
No.
You're never ready.
It doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't exist. Okay. Your intuition is a voice that doesn't use words. Listen. I found that quote. I liked it.
Yeah.
Okay. Did I miss anything? Oh, and the other thing about your intuition is with your I wrote this down from that same article about fear and intuition. With intuition, your inner voice is more grounded and wise, like a good mentor. Your intuition is grounded and wise. Like your gut and your intuition are not going to make you feel scared. They're going to push you. Like, they're not going to push you. They're going to pull you to the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
You ever made a choice and you're like, I'm not sure why I did that. And then you look back and you're like, I can now see how I was drawn to that thing.
Yeah.
Yes. All the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember the moment I met my husband. We talked very briefly the day that we met, and I remember feeling like super drawn to him.
Yeah.
It was not even like a hi, hello. That was what, like, he was a friend of a friend.
Yeah.
That's it.
You just knew.
Yeah, later on when I look back, I'm like, yes.
For those who didn't just know, it's okay.
That's also okay. But you just like, I've looked back on all sorts of things and been like, yes, that makes perfect sense.
It was funny because I can remember talking to my dad at Al Basha where we eat lunch.
Right.
And just being like, but how, you know, you're getting in your 20s and whoever you're dating, you're having to look at as like, but are you the one?
Oh God, that's a lot of pressure.
It just always felt like all this pressure. And I never knew. I never knew even with Tanner right away.
You're like, I don't know.
But I was like, I don't know, Dad. I just feel like, you know, I'm supposed to have these like fireworks.
Right. You wanted a sign.
And
where
he
was
said,
Celia then?
Right. Where was Celia? And he said, Alyssa, I made you. So I've known you your whole life. And you've just never been like a fireworks kind of person.
He's like, that's not going to happen for you.
Yeah. And he said, and you know, me neither.
That's okay.
He said, I never had these huge fireworks.
Right.
And I always felt like maybe something was wrong with me, or maybe that meant that's not the person for me because I never had these fireworks. He said, but I never had them. And well, I made you, and I don't think you're going to have them either.
Right.
I think you're just going to.
That's so funny.
I think you're just going to know. And I was like, okay. It was such a relief.
Oh, thank you.
But it took someone who knew me really well telling me,
you're just not going to get that.
That's not how you are.
Right.
Like, I know you.
Let's not wait around for that.
And all of a sudden, it just made sense that you're right. I've never been. Why would I be that type of person now?
Just with this one decision?
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Right.
I love that he could at least pinpoint that in you and share it.
I know.
Thank goodness.
I know.
You might have always been like waiting. And that's an interesting point.
Yeah,
sometimes people wait to make a decision, waiting for something that's not, there's not going to be the sign.
Sometimes I think you wanting a sign so badly, but is your sign. Right. If you're always looking.
Yeah, that's a great point.
For a reason. Like for example, with the flip house. Mm-hmm. I was going to buy it.
You were like, but I'm going to sit here in the driveway for just a minute. I'm going to sit
here in the driveway and like pray about it. I would like a sign, but I'm letting you know. So then I was like, I got to the point where I was like not getting a sign. So I said, you know what, God, if you don't, I'm going to buy it.
Right. So
you're so big and powerful. If you don't want me to, set it on fire, put it into the house, put it in, like make something happen that makes me not, because I've made the decision that I'm
doing this.
I'm doing it.
I'm doing
and sometimes you have to say, you know what, I'm going to do it. Yeah. I'm doing it, even though I didn't have my sign. Mm-hmm. I'm going to do it unless something puts an end to it.
Yeah.
Sometimes things happen that end what you were planning on doing.
That's okay.
So, yeah. Do you have anything else?
I'm all good here.
Okay, well, I'll just end us with a few prompting questions.
Perfect.
You could journal these questions. You could just sit and reflect on these questions.
Take a 5-minute timer.
Right.
And don't listen to anything for 5 minutes. And
some of them are a little too fluffy for me.
Oh, I want to hear them.
But, you know, like what makes you happy? Okay. Like, that's one of the questions. I thought I didn't even want to write it down because I thought it was kind of silly.
You were like, this is a dumb question.
Right. Like, it's just very generic. Like,
okay, what makes you happy? Well, you know what's funny about that now that you're starting with these questions? Jenna in the book does life inventory.
Oh.
Life inventory. And it is sort of like those. What inspires you? What makes you rage? And I'm like, rage? That's intense.
Oh.
What makes you snort laugh? I just love the way that she, like, think about it.
So direct.
Do you know what makes you snort laugh?
No.
Is there nothing?
I'd have to really think about it.
Oh my God, I have one. I was like, the autocorrect fails. You know those? They make me snort laugh because I love when people get words wrong. I just don't know what it is about that. I think is absolutely hilarious. But I guess continue with your list. My point is, it was the way She phrased them.
Yeah.
What makes you cry with joy? Not just what makes you happy. What makes you cry with joy? Like, when do you have tears of joy? What makes you feel empowered? What makes you nod in agreement? What makes you nod in? It's
like, yes.
The way she's describing these are very tactile. Like,
yeah.
Not what makes you.
So they're very specific things.
Right. What makes you dance with glee?
Mm-hmm.
What do you fear most? What do you find unfair? What problem do you wish you could solve? What do you want to create in the world?
I love that.
So that was life inventory. And again, you guys, this is so far a great book. But give us your questions. So a little more in depth than just what makes you happy.
What do you need?
Oh, that's interesting.
So what do you actually need? Like, we can go on the list of like wants and, the sky is the limits and all of that. But you also kind of got to come back a little to practical life.
I don't. I'm pretty much in the clouds.
I know. And I'm down here.
I'm like living in the clouds.
I'm down here. What do you need?
Uh-huh.
Why do you need it? How much do you need? You don't need that much. Maybe you're putting too much pressure on yourself to sell this much, but you would be okay at this many.
Right. What do you need?
Okay.
I like that.
What do you believe in? What are your values?
Okay.
Because everybody has different values. I mean, probably, the big ones are the same, but as far as like what you really believe in, because if you're living outside of that, it's never going to work. So you have to really know, what do I feel like? Do I get purpose from this decision?
Mm-hmm.
What are things that you see that you admire?
Oh.
Because that might be a good trigger point in the right direction.
Like, what's the path?
Yes, when I see, and they said sometimes this can come off as like jealousy or envy, which is kind of a negative emotion, but try to look at it as, well, when I see this, I want it.
Yeah.
I do. I admire that.
Okay.
But the biggest thing is, what don't you want?
That's probably very helpful.
So there's got to be things that, well, I don't want this, this, and this, and that might come with a real estate career. Yeah. I don't always want to work. I don't always want to be on call. I don't want this or that. Well, because there are times when maybe getting your real estate license isn't the answer.
Yeah.
Or leaving your job isn't the answer right now.
Right. This reminds me of choosing food. You always know what you don't want.
Mm-hmm.
Like, picking what you don't want is easy. Picking what you do want is a little bit trickier.
It is.
So start with that. Like, eliminate things.
Yeah. That makes sense.
I like that.
One time I had a friend say and asked me this question, and I thought it was interesting because it was on the question list of this website. So people always like to ask the question, like, what if money was no obstacle and you could just really dream so big? But this question was more, what if money was no obstacle, but in a reality sense? So you're dreaming big, but it could actually happen. Okay. And I'll give you an example to her answer.
Please.
So her answer was, her dream would be that they could be wealthy enough to buy a plane. Her husband always wanted to be a pilot.
Okay.
They could get their pilot's license. They could use it for vacations. They could use it for whatever they want, but then that they could also allow their church to use it for like missionary type things. Like, they would want it as a way to like give back and do good in the world and provide transportation and things like that. So you think, wow, owning a plane. But then she went a step further to say, we researched it, and like the plane that we would want is like $350,000. It's like this model of this plane. I'm sure it's more now because this was the conversation 5 years ago. But all of that to say, she researched it and put a number to it and set a goal, and it was like, this is actually doable. We could probably do this in like 15 years.
Okay. Did they get the plane?
Well, she's probably on year like 8.
Okay, we're working on it.
They're working on it. But it goes to show, sometimes you can say these big things, but they're actually possible if we think they're so big that we can't even think of the next step.
Right.
Because it's such a big thing.
Okay. I like it.
So it kind of makes you think, like, what is all of this for?
Yeah.
I kind of feel like I'm in a season of that right now.
What is all of this for?
Like, what is the end goal?
What is the end goal?
Is it to retire early? But then what?
Right. I love when people say they want to retire early. I'm like,
why? Then what?
To do
what?
What?
So I'm kind of in this,
right,
reflective.
I love it. Well, I hope that this chat helped you.
Yeah. Also, I wrote down episode 16 was the attitude of gratitude.
Oh, yeah.
And it is not up there on our charts.
No, they don't like it.
And I was very surprised because it was one of my favorite episodes that we recorded, the attitude of gratitude. Yeah. And I think between the Enneagram episode 13 and then gratitude 16, those might be 2 to go listen to this week.
I think that's a great idea.
Okay, that's all I have.
That's all you have?
Delilah.
Signing off from... No, first we're going to do a toast.
Okay, great.
Okay. All right. Casey Hurley in Jacksonville, Florida, would like to toast her teammate, friend, and fellow Hustle Humbly community member, Glenda Hayden. Okay. From Florida's Choice Realty. Okay. Glenda is the most supportive and encouraging friend any girl could ever ask for.
Oh, that's so sweet.
I know, right? Anytime I am in a stressful situation at home or work, she sends an encouraging note, message, or phone call. We meet on Tuesdays to encourage each other and talk all things life and real estate.
This is the perfect toast for this episode.
They're always perfect.
Oh my gosh.
I know, right? We love our powwows. She reminds me to have grace with myself when I get overly critical or down about my transactions or lack thereof. I am so very thankful for her.
I love that.
Cheers to Glenda.
That's so sweet.
And thank you to Casey.
I love that they meet weekly.
I know. To support each other.
Yeah.
You can't do it alone, people.
No.
Not just you and your intuition and your inner voice.
Mm-mm.
You can get somebody in there.
I love it.
Okay. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Delilah. I want to get sued by Delilah.
I know.
Okay.
No, Delilah wouldn't do that.
Good. She would never do that. Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Hustle Humbly podcast. Let us know who we should toast to for the next episode.
Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Hustle Humbly Podcast. If you have an episode, topic, or question, please email us at hustlehumblypodcast@gmail.com.
Be sure to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. See you next week. Bye.
This is the good life.